Wait, hold on.
Trying to get my chat where I can see it a bit easier.
Gotcha. Wait, hold on. What's my stream deck? Hold on. Technical difficulties, chat. 1 second. See something. Oh, wait, it's not connected to the new one. Oh, my voice mod is not connected to the one. Hold on. I don't know my soundboard. 1 sec. So when you upgrade voice mod and you forget to check where your soundboards are and they're all disappeared. I would expect applause, but I don't have the applause here. I gotta go place it this time. There you go. Alright. That's a really long applause. Alright, so that's a little longer than I expected. Alright, welcome to TNF Podcast, Season 4, Episode 4. Welcome Dr. Clara. As our guest, welcome back, Faye. I'll fix that later because you upgrade voice mod, your soundboard's complete C, so I need to put everything back in. But welcome. Our captive studio on, so we're officially cut off before they can go for another 20 seconds of clapping for everyone. But welcome. So welcome back. We're starting the next podcast. Dr. Clara, it's been a long time. I meant to get on your podcast so long ago, and I think your schedule just went like all over the place, and we were never able to connect. So finally, we were able to connect. And I'm glad you are finally here. So we kind of start with kind of introduction. So kind of give us maybe a little about yourself. And I'm assuming your username is probably pretty easy to guess because I can probably guess it, and many people could probably guess why. But kind of give how you came up with that, and you give us an intro about yourself and what you do, anything we might not know about you.
Okay, so I'm Dr. Clara, or Clara, but I'm Dr. Clara, right, Twitch fam, because we have our Twitch name. So if anyone calls me Clara, it's like weird because it's like, what? We're in Twitch, it's Dr. Clara. And but my name is Clara. And I'm Spanish, and I've spent about half my life outside of Spain. And now I've come back to Spain. The sea is I'm in southern Spain. The sea is about 6 minutes away from here. And this is all the sun coming through, even if I have the blinds halfway. What else? I have a PhD in looking for life in other planets. And because I wasn't using my PhD, so I'm an engineer, and I wasn't really using my PhD anymore, I thought, okay, what can my DJ name be? Because I started DJing as well during the pandemic, and I thought, okay, DJ something, like DJ. And my husband was like, "No, you're not DJ something, right?" Like, so I was like, "Oh yeah, my favorite DJ is Fatboy Slim. He's not DJ like DJ Fatboy Slim." So then I thought, okay, I don't use my PhD. But I'm a doctor, right? So what about Dr. Clara?
There you go.
Yeah.
Easier.
If I had a PhD, I would make sure everyone called. Like, you earned that doctor title. That's a lot of schooling.
Everyone forgets about masters, don't they? But I don't think masters has anything fancy anyway.
Yeah. Well, masters is also, I think it's clear. I have a master's also because I have the PhD in space stuff. I had to have the master's in space stuff first. Okay. But yeah, so I feel I actually like it on Twitch because it's like, oh yeah, I'm a doctor. As Faye says, yeah.
There you go. I didn't even know that until I asked Dr. Claire, was like, "What do you know?" And she's like, "We talking about space." I'm like, "What?" And she had to explain everything, and I was like, "Oh no, that's actually sounded an interesting topic because you're like about the design of instrumentation for planetary exploration, life detection mission, which is very interesting topic to discuss."
Would that be a specialization of physics?
It's so it's actually I was the engineer of astrobiologists, and astrobiologists are the scientists that look for life in other planets. And so they know how to do the experiments, and how to look for life. And then the engineers that work for the astrobiologists then create that instrumentation so that they can find life.
Okay, I understand.
But they kind of maybe physics would be. Yes, because of astronautics and stuff that you have to study, but there's a lot of biology, which is
Yeah. But they're
I'm not a physical doctor.
Giant turtle with.
Yes. But you know, like, this is an interesting thing. Like being Dr. Clara is like, of course, everyone think like I'm a physical doctor, and it's like, no, don't ask me if you have
Has
any
that shit come
problems.
up? Has anyone like come up to you during pushing
Yeah.
like, are you a doctor or like a medical doctor?
Yes, a
similar.
lot. A lot, because it's also confusing that I stream also for cancer research. So then
Right.
people think I'm a doctor,
yeah,
or something like that reason, and it's like, no, I'm.
They're like, obviously she's an oncologist.
Yeah. It's
So-
like no.
No. But yeah.
Weezoid, I get that reference, and I appreciate you.
I got that reference too, and also it's interesting. But all right, so
I've had to deal with that a lot too, by the way, you know, and I've had a lot of also all the things that we didn't go to the moon, or we can't send things to Mars, or anything, or also that I'm that there's some sort of like, you know, I'm against God because I'm looking for life in other planets and stuff like that. So I have dealt with a lot of
okay. Interesting. How big is this field though? I'm just curious because like it's not something that I would have known until you told me that was a specialization in. Like, is it like a big field, or is it like very niche, or a lot of people?
It is very neat. So for me, well, but you guys had Carl Sagan. Do you remember Carl Sagan?
Yeah.
Yes. So he was like the first astrobiologist, and I loved Carl Sagan, and he made like that plaque that is on Voyager, like is a message from humanity of what are humans and where are we, back in the 70s, and I love, like, Carl Sagan for me was, you know, like talking about life on other planets. I think just like the SETI Institute as well. But Carl Sagan also with that talk, did you watch the film Contact? Does anyone know the film Contact?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Jodie Foster. Anyone? Chat? No? Remember?
I've seen it. Yeah, Contact. Yeah.
and so Contact is actually a film that was based on Carl Sagan's book about the idea that we have a message, that we receive a message from intelligent life somewhere in space, and how humanity reacts to it and stuff. And so that always, like, that was my film, you know. And since I was a kid, when I was like 12, I remember my dad talking to me about, like, saying, you know, there's a moon near, like, one of the moons of Jupiter that is like a ball of ice. And he was like, oh, if there's ice, there's water, there could be water, you know, like liquid water. If there's liquid water, there could be life. And so to get into it, it is pretty niche, and it's really hard, because you sort of, as an engineer, I think it's easier as a scientist, in fact, because you can be a biologist or a chemist, and then you can go into astrobiology. But I wanted to be an engineer. so then I had to find a way that I could be an engineer, and then like get like to work with the biologists who were doing that. So it's niche, but for me, it's like, it was like something that it was always in my life. I don't know.
Was it something of like from a kid? I assume you said from a kid, like you wanted to be able to study. Like, was that like your childhood dream to do this? Or study this? So, because I'm reading like what Wes said, like my childhood dream, for example, wasn't meant to go to the moon or something like this, not to be an astronaut. My childhood dream was to, like, see it happening, like, or be part of, like, the fact that we find life on Europa, or I don't know, somewhere in our solar system, or outside, I don't know, there are like intelligent life outside the solar system or something like this. So it was like being part of seeing it happen. Okay, makes sense. That makes sense.
Wezoid asked us a question. He said, if you had the chance to go to the moon, would any of you go?
Oh, anyone would go. Oh, I don't know.
I can tell you right now, no. Have you? I don't know how long you've been around, if you've seen me talk about this before. I am so afraid of heights. No, thank you. I'm not even particularly fond of flying. Like, can I do
me
it?
too.
Yes, but I
That's
don't want to
fine.
go any higher.
I'm the same, you know, like
The idea of being in space and seeing the Earth,
No.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
in my heart, like I don't know, it would be so amazing. I would love to see the moon and also see Earth. I think
True.
that like and see
Yeah.
it's like the beauty of Earth and you know and astronauts and even you know Katy Perry and when they went last week or 2 weeks ago, and then they said you know like the mission they said how amazing it was, you know it's there's sort of something you just it makes you feel something, you realize you know we're all
True.
one and but it would be scary.
Yeah, I would
like,
imagine so.
No, thank you.
There's no way.
Also,
No.
I have like the worst luck that a human can possibly have. You don't want me on your spaceship. Whatever spaceship I'm on is going to explode.
Yeah.
There's no level of anything that's going to stop this. My luck stat is 2 in the negative.
There you go. There you go.
you know, when I was doing my PhD, I actually applied to be one of the ESA astronauts. But it was, I mean, the selection process was like insanely difficult. And you had, it asked things like, what of these hobbies do you have? And it was like extreme caving, base jumping. You know, like, no.
Oh wow. Okay. They put that on the application.
So
They said, are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
an adrenaline junkie? Because
Yeah.
if not, we need you to see yourself out.
well,
Yep.
can you be in confined spaces? Can you be, yeah, like this, like if you do like dangerous things or being, are you okay being alone? Are you okay being, yeah, of course, like test pilots, they were the original astronauts, right? And they're like
Mhm.
daredevils and but it would be, I think if I could be like teleported to the moon, yes, Wes, I think I would do like, whoop, wormhole up here, then I'd be like,
avoid the whole
"Whoa."
trip.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah,
there,
like I
let me
guess
see.
I hadn't thought of that.
Like,
If I could go from feet on the ground to feet on the
Yeah.
ground,
And be
Yeah.
like, oh.
let's do that. It's the travel bit in between that I'm not a
Yeah,
fan of.
yeah.
Exactly.
I would do it. I would really do it, but I think I would, you know, like just like again, I fly in a plane, but I sometimes get, and it's not rational because I mean, rationally it's super safe, but there is, yeah.
Gotcha.
Wes, would you go? I want to know, Wes, would you go or anyone
Yeah,
in the
Wes.
chat?
All right, so I forgot to add this part, but let's go before we move on to the next topic. Update. So, Faye, what is your update from last month since we were here on the podcast?
As you can see, I have moved streaming spaces, so mostly it has been organizing things. It is not aesthetic back here. It's still a work in progress. Other than that, I've got a few new podcasts to talk about for people who might be interested in radio dramas, but we'll get to that at the end.
Yeah, I was excited for your segment there.
Yeah, it's been pretty low key, just getting my space into a more like what's the word? Something that I
Organized?
can handle being in long term.
Yeah, organized. Is that organized? I think organized would be the word. No?
Comfortable?
Comfortable? That's true.
Yeah, more comfortable.
Can you, one thing, because I'm hearing it in my headphones, is like, what is your mic set on? Because I feel like it's kind of not sounding like you
Mine?
usually do.
Well, I told you I was having some
Yeah.
sort of since I've moved my setup, I've been having some audio issues, so I have had to change some settings just because there was
Okay.
this loud, like, every time I would talk for like a solid second and a half, it sounded like a fucking gunshot was going
Oh, wow.
off.
Okay. Oh, man. Okay.
Didn't want that happening, so I'm not sure what it sounds like right now, but whatever it sounds like, it's better than sounding like a
Sounds
gunshot.
All right, no problem. That's fine. I was checking because you know how people's ears are. Like, I heard you talk for a while in your stream, so it does sound different than what you usually is. But it's okay. All right. Here's an update. I mean, not much else going on here. I'm still working in the same job for a bit, and I think the job is just picking up because like we are transitioning to a new platform, so a lot of work is going into making sure all of our interfaces can go over to the new platform. So I've been doing a lot of coding. So it's been coding and coding and coding, so I'm just making sure things are working correctly, and then there's new projects coming, so it's all been work stuff, so nothing as exciting. I did have issues with my back since the last time we talked, but I think going to the chiropractor is kind of like help with that sciatic nerves. I am upright, and like the only issues I have now kind of is like only when sleeping, so that's like very minimal, so any other part of the day I'm still able to function normally, which is good. I heard that we're still doing recordings for our YouTube channel for the Respawn Collective, so we are putting out content so if you see the link pops up anywhere, stop promoting myself, but just make sure if you're not subscribed to it, check out some content from me and some other of my streamer friends, and we are producing content on the weekly, so it's been pretty low key. And then that and Faye is here. That's all I do. Like Faye is usually part of it. Like I always do. Like just like if something happens to Faye, I usually have to like either hear about it or Faye is here. So
Don't make me sound like I'm a problem, sir.
No, you're not a problem. I'm just saying like whatever's going on.
You're the favorite roomie.
And Faye's cat yesterday, Meltzer was like, I'm just gonna nuzzle you, and then he was like, I'll bite your leg. I'm like, what are you biting my leg for? Well, I am streaming, sir. I'm trying to stream. So yeah, but yeah.
It's your turn now.
Yeah, apparently it's like biting my leg. I was like, really?
Yeah,
But,
he does that when he wants affection and you are not giving it to him. And so he's like, then I'm just gonna chomp because that'll make you pay attention to me, because
there you go.
any attention is good attention to that cat.
There you go. That was why. I was like, why is this happening?
Do you guys have like a live, like for each other to know if the other one is? Well, I guess you get the notification or something. But how do you know if you want to go talk to Faye, for example? How do you know like she's not streaming in that moment, or when you do know, but you know what I mean? Like, how do you not interrupt each other or something?
Ty has a light outside of his room because he sometimes starts streaming before I wake up in the mornings, like on the weekends.
Mhm.
So I really like that because I can get up and I can see that glow and be like, okay, I need to like try to keep it down because he's live. I only pretty much stream in the evenings, but I tell him like, hey, I'm about to.
We know each other's schedules pretty well, so that way.
Yeah.
So we know.
Like if the Amazon man comes, like stop. You go pick up the delivery or something, no? Or like if the doorbell rings, you go, or
Oh, I have ring doorbell.
Nobody's ringing our doorbell.
I was ringing our doorbell while I was streaming now. I know. But yeah. But oh, all right, okay. Ad break goes over. But yeah, like no, I think we're pretty. I mean, we're like, it has the back half of the house wing, I at the front, so we're kind of still, separated enough that we're not like, over, just close enough that it would cause that, and then she's in the new room now, so the door actually closes, so you'll be close to the door. I can't hear her at all now because she's behind.
Which is so nice because I'm so like for anybody who's ever been in my chat, Ty's room when I was in my old space, he could hear me. I play a lot of horror games. He could hear me scream before he saw whatever was supposed to be happening. So he got it double time. So he had the chance to mentally prepare himself. So now I have a way to hide. He gets to be scared with everybody else.
How switch to laser? Like it's a couple of seconds. So she screams, and a couple of seconds later, the stream screams, and then I can hear it. Otherwise, so yeah. Now if she's going to be in that room, I won't be able to hear it now. So yeah, but yeah, I'll be scared like everyone else, apparently. But yeah, all right. So that's the updates. Our first topic, which kind of leans into sorry, Sarah, it's Apollo.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool. Yes, we've been doing
Like,
Silent Hill. It's terrible.
Well, I know you said that the other. I am terrible with horror, like to watch, to anything to play. Well, I don't really play, but and Wes used to play Alien. That was really scary, Wes. But Wes actually made me be less scared of it. Actually.
Oh, there you go.
So,
there
but Silent Hill, I think I hate horror because I like my friend used to play the original Silent Hill on the PS2, was it or something? And that
PS1.
just like PS1, yeah. and they would vibrate the remote and stuff, and it was just like we were watching it on a tiny screen, but we were young and impressionable, and Silent Hill, like.
Here, let's give
Yellow
Wes a
nightmares.
link so he knows how to follow Faye. 1 second. Just gonna play a clip. 1 second.
Oh no.
Playing
Okay.
Silent Hill. I know, yeah. Last time, yeah, they were playing Silent
What?
Hill.
What are we fooling
Oh,
about, mother?
that's an old one.
That's a low one, yeah.
What was that? That Omen? And I was just confused by my mom, the mom singing
Does
there.
anybody know what song my mom is singing?
Do you not get nightmares, Faye, actually, from
Mom,
playing?
what's
horror
wrong with
games?
you, Mom?
Or like paranoid, I don't know. Or where at night, if you wake up at night, 5 a.m., you've got to go to the bathroom.
just
Do you
fix
look at yourself in the
that.
mirror?
I mean, I don't turn on the lights, so
Even worse. Even worse. Because you can
not,
see.
no, I don't really. I don't get nightmares because of the horror games. Like I've been watching or interacting with horror content since I was like 3 years old. My parents had no concept of like R rating. Like if it wasn't porn, we were allowed to watch it. So it's like playing horror games. I do at least feel the dread and stuff, but because it's more interactive. But like horror
Mhm.
movies and things don't really give me the nightmares all that bad when I'm sleeping. I do, playing the horror games, have a hard time coming down from the anxiety though.
Talk about Silent Hill 2, you know?
That one specifically has been getting me a little bit fucked up.
Yeah.
It takes me like an hour and a half or more to come down because it's just like constant dread the entire time we're
Yeah.
playing.
I think
And
the screen count is in the 20s now, right? It's like really up there.
yeah, and I was like, it's not really affecting me mentally, it's affecting me physically because my body, like I'm so tense the entire time that I'm playing it, and my body doesn't understand that I'm not in actual danger. And so I'm like getting like real stress responses physically, but like mentally I'm good.
There you go.
The adrenaline is like.
Exactly.
Yes. I'm definitely overdosing on adrenaline. It's not a good feeling.
Yes. All right, so let's kind of move into first kind of topic, talking about, you know, like, as we said, about life detection missions. So like Dr. Clara might be able to field some of this because we're probably out of our expertise, but like how do we detect life on other planets? And how do we define the life in the context of planetary exploration? And like the only closest example I can think of, and you can correct me if there's any context of how this approach has been to Mars, because that's probably the closest planet to go to, but give us like what your expertise or what's your opinion on this, Dr. Clara?
What if there's life on Mars?
Well, that too,
Oh.
or like how do we find life in general
Oh,
on
the way
our
around.
planet?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, I officially, and I have this right because, you know, this is a question. This is a super loaded question as well. Like, what is life and how do we find life? And like, and I had it also in my PhD viva. You know, when you're defending your PhD at the end of the PhD, and it was like, wow, your whole PhD is like based on looking for life as we know it. But what if life is not as we know it? I'm like, oh, I mean, if life is not as we know it, we don't know how we can find it. Okay.
But this concept of like, I've heard people say that there's a very good chance that other life forms would probably be like silicon based, where we're carbon based, and that would be difficult for us to find other life if they're silicon based because they're going to have different markers.
So, and this is so. Officially, life is considered to be any living chemical system able to transfer its molecular information via self-replication, so it can reproduce, and to evolve by making few random errors during the transfer. So also the DNA or RNA when it replicates, that maybe we have a freak mutation that gives us a evolutionary advantage, or gives something an evolutionary advantage. And that can lead to higher complexity and better adaptation to its environment, right? And so this is the exobiology team states that liquid water is a necessary requirement for life, as it provides the medium where molecules can dissolve in and chemical reactions can take place in order to enable life to self-replicate and evolve. So here we now have two conditions. So what we look for is water. And then this is due to the fact that water is the only liquid that exists in a temperature range that is not too cold to sustain biochemical reactions and not too hot to impede organic bonds from forming. Right? So here's like so then we know already an important thing we have to do when we're looking for life. We need liquid water so that the chemical reactions can happen, so that there is some sort of molecules that can replicate and have life. Like this is now then when we think a virus is life or not, because they replicate. And this is also the gray area. But then, and when you mention markers, this is like what we look for. We look for like carbon, phosphorus, you know, like nitrogen. We look like for compounds that are that we know create stable molecules that can also like DNA or RNA, they can then replicate. If you don't replicate, you're not alive for sure, because you cannot sustain your species.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, yeah.
And so you need those bonds that are able to create. And silicon is could be similar to carbon, but it still would need a medium for it to have those chemical reactions. So we also, and to have chemical reactions, you need energy as well. So this is another thing. We need to have water. So for example, Mars doesn't have water, you think, unless what we're looking for now, if it's below the surface. So if you drill down, or maybe in caves, there's some. And here we're talking about, you know, sort of bacterial type life. That's the other thing. So far, we're not talking about intelligent life, okay? When we look for the things that we detect, is
we're looking for plankton.
Micro. Yeah, something like this, like basic organisms. Because intelligent life, how we look for it is with radio signals.
Oh, like the WOW signal that did never go anywhere, unfortunately. I know that one.
Which one was that one?
The WOW signal. I mean, this is an old one. There was a group of scientists that were like taking in radio waves, and there was a guy going through, and he found like a signal on there that was so close. Like it was like somebody had sent a message back, because they were sending stuff out waiting for responses, and they were usually just getting random static. But I'm not a scientist, I don't know all of the things, but I guess the numbers that were coming back for this one specific time period, like it was very short, it was a very small blip, and it was so similar to what we were sending out that he ends up circling and wrote WOW next to it, because he's like, this could be something. And then they spent like months funneling money researching that area where the signal came from, and they've never gotten anything else. So now the running theory is that somebody somewhere in the building just happened to have like a microwave or something going at the same time, but they've never been able to replicate it, so they're not even sure. That's just the like most common theory at the moment.
Normally we like the signals we're looking for there's some sort of pattern, like because replication that gives like we also have patterns in the way we broadcast and everything. And so it would normally, one thing that sort of triggers scientists is like pulsars, because they have a pattern. So it looks like it's an intelligent thing sending an actual, but it's just a pulsar. But yeah, whenever there's a pattern, it's like, oh, because nature does pattern, but it's not like frequent, like could be a message in the waveform. So
I've got the Wikipedia article here. I'm gonna post it in chat if anybody else wants to look at it. But the very beginning, it says, the WOW signal was a strong narrowband radio signal detected on August 15th, 1977 by Ohio State University's Big Ear Radio Telescope in the United States, then used to support the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. The signal appeared to come from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius and bore expected hallmarks of extraterrestrial origin.
That's so cool. I've never heard about it.
Oh. Hello, 26.
But this is what SETI does.
Okay.
Like looking for this is for extraterrestrial intelligence. That this is what they do. They look at signals. And I used to have you used to be, before there was cloud computing. I don't know if anyone remembers that you could actually donate processing time of your computer to universities and stuff. And I used to do it for SETI, and they've I don't know, I think it was like maybe 5 or 8 or more, or maybe 10 years ago that they stopped that. But I used to have always as my background, like my screensaver, back when we used to have screensavers. Who's a screensaver now? Like,
True, these are shut off now. Like, there's no screensaver.
And it was like getting signals that maybe could be interesting, and analyzing them and seeing if it's actually a satellite or a pulsar, or could it be something that needs more investigation.
True. So what's the current stance on Mars now? There's nothing on the surface that would say but you say if there was water and caverns below, possibly they could be, but we don't know for sure.
So with Mars, I worked on a specific instrument for ExoMars to look for life on Mars. And again, the thing is we look for water, and we think if we find water, there could be life. And so in Mars, we see what looks to be remnants of running water. It's like what Earth could look like in how many billion years, where the atmosphere, there's hardly any atmosphere, so all the water vapor and everything has gone, and it's like a dead world. But there could be some fossilized life, or I'm having trouble with this or some sort of tiny colonies of bacteria living in caves with maybe some little bit of water. But because Mars doesn't have an atmosphere or a magnetosphere, the radiation is quite high,
right,
and on the surface. So that's the other thing. And we know if we look for things to replicate, and we need DNA or RNA or some sort of molecule that it's passing information to replicate itself.
Okay.
Those bonds are fragile as well. This is why we know radiation what creates mutations, and it can kill you, right? And so it sterilizes. So it's sterile. We believe the surface of Mars is sterile, but there could be something in caves or 1 meter deep. Now, much more interesting is Europa, which is my 12.
Yeah, that's also the topic. Europa is coming up, but I think that's more current, though, right? That's more the current next mission that I think I looked it up, and I still for this point they're still on the way.
And that's the thing. Europa, is father from Mars. It's easier to send things to Mars, and in Mars also we have more. We have our deep space network, which means we can communicate. We can send signals back easier.
Because of the distance,
and also the
stuff
we have orbiting around Mars to send back also the signals of something that is on the surface of the planet.
Makes sense.
And Jupiter also is huge amount of radiation, and so it's also, when we send stuff there, it's quite it's not as it's much more hostile than sending to Mars. And Europa, in fact, so even though it's like a little ball of ice, kilometer thick ice, and it has cracks in the ice, so that we think there could be liquid water under, and because that would create the cracks. Now, on the surface of Europa, because you have all the radiation of Jupiter, again, it's sterile. You would not find life there. But under a kilometer of ice, but you don't have the sun, and you need energy. So again, we look for liquid water. We need energy, and we think those two have the chemical reactions, and that energy would be from the radiation of Jupiter, whereas our energy comes from the radiation of the sun.
Yeah. A lot of factors, I think, to consider for life, depending on where you look. If you don't have one or the other, just hard possibility, you might have life, you may not have life. But always the investigation part is, when, drives anyone to, I guess, NASA to figure out if there actually was life there. Because, like, I guess currently NASA doesn't have any definite evidence from Mars, even Mars being closer, to confirm that life actually did exist there or not. Right, before we start to Europa, because you kind of breached the topic of the next topic after this stuff, the next question, we do things like AMA questions, so we kind of discuss it like SME when we kind of.
I'll read you something.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, of Mars, if you want, like just
Yeah, go ahead.
Finish Mars, but just looking at the NASA fact sheets, because I can't put links, right? I don't know if I could put links. Oh, anyway.
You should be able to post thing. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe because it's maybe.
Anyway.
Oh.
But so the temperatures on Mars can be as high as 70 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius, and as low as minus 225 Fahrenheit or minus 153 Celsius.
That's cold.
And because the atmosphere is so thin, heat from the sun easily escapes this planet. So it's called, if you were to stand on the surface of Mars on the equator at noon, it will feel like spring at your feet and winter at your head, because you'd be like 75 Fahrenheit at your feet or 24 degrees Celsius at your feet. And at your head, you have 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 degrees at your Celsius.
Oh, wow.
And occasionally the winds of Mars are strong enough to create dust storms that cover much of the planet. After such storms, it can be months before all the dust settles. Which that affects all the, when we have like rovers on Mars and then we sort of lose contact with them and they've gone into hibernation, it's normally because it's been a dust storm and the solar panels are covered in dust. This is the
Mars
key.
rovers, I'm gonna cry.
And Wes says, wait, what? Were you thinking about the head thing and the thing?
The temperature, right? Yeah.
Temperature. But the magnetosphere, this is because Mars has no global magnetic field today. This is why it's exposed to radiation. But areas of Martian crust in the southern hemisphere are highly magnetized, so indicating traces of magnetic field from 4 billion years ago. So, very simplistically, it's like if Mars is like a dead Earth, where our magnetosphere is gone, our atmosphere is gone, our water has gone, and Mars is left out of it. And we are gone, and Mars is left. And Venus is kind of like, also because we haven't talked about Venus, because Venus could have life as well. But it's also more hot, like while Mars is like dead but hostile, Venus is like super hostile.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Interesting.
Spring at your feet and winter at your head.
That's pretty much, that's pretty what it was. All right. So the AMA question kind of could relate to ask anyone from the panelists or something. Maybe you're Dr. Clara, you're cutting up first. That's something you would ask like me or Faye or anything about if you're currently discussing. If not, if you wanted to know something about us you didn't know before, you can ask a question.
I would like to know, actually, just to mention our friend Musk. Do you think humans should go to Mars? Because I'm going to tell you something interesting about this. But what do you think? Do you think we should go to Mars? Do you think, because this is I think that Musk is really
trying to get people to Mars,
amongst other things that he's doing. But
yeah, sorry, things. Yeah, you seem like you have it on your
Do you think we should go to Mars?
If it's just for like the sake of like, because humans like to explore, we want to put our flag on things, and if that's all your goal is to just get there and put an actual human there just so you can put your flag, because the innate nature of humans to want to explore and be places we haven't been before, sure, go for it, have fun. But the idea of terraforming it and putting colonies there is absolutely impractical, and I do not believe that it is something that should realistically be being pursued by anybody.
What about for mining it? For all these rare earth minerals we need for all our electronics, and super iPhones.
we barely managed to get humans into space. I don't think that we can carry heavy-ass minerals and metals back and forth.
Yeah.
And the idea of like a space elevator, I know it's popular in sci-fi, but that's unrealistic as well. There's no scientific basis that it would ever be feasibly possible at all. At least not to my knowledge. Dr. Clara, if you can correct me if you think I'm wrong.
Not
there,
to
but everybody-
Mars.
Yeah, especially
something
like
in
I don't even
orbit
think we
here,
can do
but-
it into the. I don't think we can even manage it to the moon. Like I think because of
Yeah.
the rotation and stuff, it's just not
Yeah,
possible. So, and that's whenever I hear people
Materialism,
talking
too.
about you be like doing these extravagant things, they're using the idea of like a space elevator or thing or the terraforming thing that are just not feasible. Like it's not realistic.
But if it was feasible, would you want it to happen?
I don't know because I've never thought about that because why would I base a hypothesis on something that's not possible? Like that is not the way that I use like once we've determined that that because of this is not a possibility, this is out like it's gone, it's out the window. I'm not thinking about it anymore.
No
I can't give
dreams
you an answer.
allowed.
I mean, have a dream, but like if your child says they want to grow up to be a unicorn, we don't necessarily encourage that. We go like, why don't you be a horse trainer instead and veer them to something more realistic, you know?
Wow.
And don't think about becoming a unicorn when it's not realistic.
There you go.
Now, if you tell me a way that that's possible, then I'll like reevaluate. But in the meantime,
Oh no.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was like they almost said it every single movie out there, plot line. I don't know. Like I mean, ideally you would want to progress and be able to get there. I mean, if you get there safely, then yeah. I mean, exploration is one of the things, like people want to explore and find new things. So don't know. I mean, if it's possible at any time soon, I don't think so. But eventually down the line, if we get to find resources and anything from there, then yeah, I'm gonna be all for it. But until you can make that a reality, it's still kind of a very far off dream at the moment. So I don't know. Tell me my thoughts on it, kind of. But yeah. Oh yeah, my cap over kick says the last 8 SpaceX rocket launches were failed. So Elon hasn't had a good track record so far.
I suppose if they managed to make it where it was a feasible thing, I'm not opposed to it because I mean, like, there's not life on Mars, so if they're mining there, it's not like they're harming anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Actually, this is what we called, and this is what I had to work on. That's what about it. This was super important. Is planetary protection and contamination control, and so PPNCC, okay, for sure. And there's loads of protocols about it. And Mars is actually, so we think so. The Moon and the Earth are in the same sphere or ecosystem, if you want to think. So we can go to the Moon and contaminate it with our life, even bacteria that we have in our skin, because it's assumed that the same thing, it would be contaminated already. Mars is protected, in fact. So when we send rovers and stuff to Mars or any other planet, we have to like the PPNCC protocol. So all the stuff that I used to have to do as well was like, you have to do everything in a clean room, you have to sterilize everything to make sure that you're not taking Earth life, any Earth life there and contaminating. And also, well, if you're looking for life, if you're looking for life and then you detect your own life, I mean, you could get really excited that we've detected something, but then it's actually your own life and you can't know. But yeah, that's you contaminated yourself.
You can't contaminate your own sample, yeah.
I mean, I assume that before the scientific community is going to let miners up there, that they would have already cleared it of any,
Oh, we have to say that. I mean, because we say right now, space belongs to humanity. I mean, if there's other species out there. But meaning that's why also you can't essentially go and put a flag on a planet. It doesn't belong to a country. It's part of like humanity, let's say, and our biosphere, and we have to take care of it. So you can't just, it's like what they say with the deep sea mining, you can't just do that. So there's also legal things with doing that.
Yeah.
But there's also a more interesting thing that, you know, when we talk about safety, that it's and I've been mentioning a while, like this is, nobody really talks about it, and it's something that I don't know, I just never see it talked about. But the magnetosphere is super important because it protects from radiation. If you send humans to Mars, because bear in mind, our humans that are in their International Space Station, they are inside our magnetosphere. So if there's a solar flare, they and us, we're protected. Right? But if you are out of our magnetosphere and you're going towards Mars, and it takes around 7 months to get there, during those 7 months, there could be a solar flare at any time. And those humans that go there would die of radiation in what?
Yeah.
About 2-3 days, like horribly, right?
Right.
And then when they're on Mars also, and to launch, you have to wait for Mars and Earth to be aligned. It takes a year and a half to do that. So you've gone 7 months, you've arrived. Now you have to wait a year and a half and then do another 7 months. The chances of a solar flare or any like plasma, or any radiation from cosmic radiation that can happen is
very high.
quite high. And right now, the only way we can see, or we know, like we need materials that can absorb radiation. Now, how do we absorb radiation in nuclear plants? Apart from concrete, where is everything?
In the ground with lead.
Yeah, but also in like a pool of
water.
Yeah, water. So after we bury it, but like we keep it like, and it also cools it, and like water really absorbs radiation. And you would have to have like a sort of lift where the humans go in, like a box where they need like 1 meter of water on each side to absorb radiation if there was a solar flare happening. And that would be extremely. You're like, go ahead, and the water protects us, you know. And but there's a lot of so there's a lot of weird things as well. Also, like thinking we send the humans there, and then what? Okay, because what if we can't bring them back? You know, we have to think that they're going to be sent without coming back. Ethically, we cannot think these things. There's a lot of things that are it's ethical that we are like, oh, we're sending them to the death, or maybe we can't bring them out. How, you know, and because it will take a year and a half. So, teacher, thank you. Sorry, where's this?
You're just calling. I see
a
it.
teacher. Sorry.
Nice.
So there's a lot of things also that we don't talk about. I always think like, well, what about the humans? It's like we're thinking of all the monetary things, but and there's of course some nations that would send humans there, like because there's also the pride of, anyway, if I don't make it, I'm doing it for my nation and for the history books. So ethically, there is that pride, whereas other nations are much more like, no, we cannot allow this to happen. So we will not, in good conscience, that we cannot send someone, even if there's somebody who really wants to do it, you know, for our history or whatever. So, all right, a lot of things to think about.
Yeah, definitely a lot of things to think about.
That would all bear onto my original statement of being like, it is impractical. So
yeah, exactly.
Like, I would only be okay with it even being something to be talked about if those kind of dangers had already been like, okay, we've resolved this, we've resolved
exactly
this, we've resolved this. And then it's literally like the only discussion left is, do we have the right to fuck with another planet because everything else has been solved? That's the only time that I personally would be like, okay, it's worth talking. But everything else just makes it so impractical that it's like,
that's what I think as well. It's like we're not thinking of and also there's another interesting thing. You know, humans, when we isolate humans, we don't like it. Okay, we're social species, and so when, you know, the people who are in the Arctic bases, in the Antarctic bases, and then there really is just like 5 or 10 of them alone for 6 months, and they become really violent. There's a lot of psychological things that have to happen. There was an incident in the South African base maybe a month ago or something, and these people are like super screened psychologically, and then still in isolation, knowing that you can't get out of there. There's weird things that happen. So imagine if you're in isolation for a year and a half. Once you get there, never mind the 7 months there and 7 months coming back. So we don't know also mentally what we would do to those humans. I think super confined space.
Right.
So
Yeah, parts of a plane from kick saying metric version TNF measurements created every early probe landing. I don't know how true that. I guess the different. I have no idea. But all right, that's the comment. All right, let's kind of move on to, I guess, because we kind of brought up Europa. I don't know. You know anything about the Enceladus? I don't know how to pronounce Latin names. Is the Enceladus for Saturn? That moon?
Enceladus.
Sorry.
Yeah, Enceladus. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
So
the 2 moons, right? The icy crust are identified, and that's part of the Europa Clipper mission, which is currently on the way to do the flybys of that planet. But yeah, go ahead. You can talk about it.
So this is the same thing as Europa. So while we think Europa, which is orbiting Jupiter, has liquid water, but like under a thick crust of ice. Then there's Enceladus, which is orbiting Saturn, and that it does like massive like vapor spews into space, and that we realized it's water. So again, there could be life on Enceladus. The stuff that I used to work on and the instrumentation that I worked on was to detect. So once there was water is detected, but then to detect if there's these organic compounds, and like when we, and here's also a loop back, because when we look for cancer, we look for specific biomarkers. For example, if we're looking for prostate cancer, we look for the PSA protein, right? And we will look for specific biomarkers that are really, there are molecules that are normally in very small quantities. So this is single molecule detection. This is what I used to work on, and like on an extremely low single molecule detection. So that's also what the work that I did was used for enabling, like detecting cancer biomarkers. So there was a link, by the way. And it's like and these are normally spectrometers that are analyzing gases, and normally we have to pulverize the compound to understand, and to analyze the what it is made of, like what molecules, what elements are there. And Enceladus spewing something out, you could imagine a mission that flies by through one of these super space geysers kind of thing, while going into space, and detect it's already like vaporized for you, and put the instrument through and detect if there's any sort of microbe or anything that could have microbes or anything. Normally we also look for ATP, which is the molecule, like energy molecule that we have, that our cells use to transfer energy and use energy. So we're looking for like these sort of like tiny molecules, and either in liquid water in Europa, or ice crystals on Mars, or vapor in Enceladus. And if it's vapor, it's like much easier. Well, okay, much easier. It's not easy because we're in space, okay, but
everything's relative.
But it's like it's made for us. We can just go through, and then like, ooh, yeah, there's something there. So, and weirdly, there's the big siren.
Oh, sorry, that's outside me.
In this state, when there's a fire or the fire trucks go out, they play what sounds like tornado sirens.
I was gonna say,
I don't understand why.
Do you need to go?
No, we're good.
No, we're fine.
We're fine.
Take cover? No, okay.
Nope. This happens a couple times a day.
It does, but we're used to it now because we live here.
You're used to it.
I'm used to it because I lived there longer. Faith's not just getting used to it
Every
now.
single time I have that, like, The knee jerk is, oh god, and then let's wait, no, never mind.
Yeah.
It's weird how you.
I
mean, it's
don't
supposed to
know.
make you knee jerk as well. Like it's
It's supposed to, because like that's kind of the alarm
Brain
is,
still says
but
tornado.
it's usually because we're not in Tornado Alley or anything where tornadoes are obvious, but it's just one like city that does this, and the town is so small that the fire station's like literally like 5 minutes down the road, so we're not that far.
Not even.
Yeah, from it. So
I think if we
Yeah.
stand at the end of the driveway, we can see the fire station.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about danger, so that's why we have the.
Well,
the science.
Perfect timing.
yeah.
and
So,
and
like-
Venus is the other thing I was gonna say. Sorry, because Venus,
yeah.
we think Venus is like insane. If I give you where are the facts, but do I have something? Because it's like made of wait let me just go to give you real facts. If you thought like Mars was bad,
Well, to give everyone concept, the
It's like
European
acid.
mission, it's still like gonna take 5.5 years to actually get to the moon before we can actually circle. So no actual results yet till like about 2030. So 5 more years to go. So, yeah.
And also when we go like the ExoMars mission, I was working on it in like 2009, 2010 or something. It still hasn't launched.
I was on lunch. Oh wow.
It'll be launched
Okay.
in 2028. This is the thing with like working in astrobiology and stuff. You would think that these scientists spend their whole career for like one mission, and they might get the mission, but they never get to get the results or be there. They're retired by the time the results come through.
All right.
Hummer.
Oh dang, that's
Um,
true.
So Venus has look 30 miles up from, because Venus is super pressure, sulfuric acid. It's really super hostile. But 30 miles up, about 50 kilometers from the surface of Venus, temperatures range from 85 to 158 Fahrenheit. So that's 30 to 70 Celsius. This is not so bad. All right. So this temperature range could accommodate earthly life, such as extremophile microbes, because we do have microbes that live in the hot vents, in the deep sea vents, or in like also in the Arctic and stuff. So we have life here that is in this extreme environment. And atmospheric pressure at that height is similar to what we find on Earth's surface. At the top of Venus's clouds, rip around the planet by winds measured as high as 224 miles per hour, we find another transformation. Persistent dark streaks appear. Scientists are so far unable to explain why these streaks remain stubbornly intact, even amid hurricane-force winds.
Oh,
And they also
all
have
right.
an odd habit of absorbing ultraviolet radiation. Okay. The most likely explanations focus on fine particles, ice crystals, or even a chemical compound called iron chloride. Although it's much less likely, another possibility considered by scientists who study astrobiology is that these streaks could be made of microbial life. So
okay.
there could be microbial life on the atmosphere of Venus. So that was again in the type of missions that I worked. It was like fly through, like the same as like flying through an Enceladine
Makes sense.
jet
To get-
of vapor. The same like flying through over Venus, like the top of the clouds.
And that mission hasn't launched yet still? That's the one you're talking about?
Well,
For Venus?
no, the Venus one is not even considered.
Oh, thanks.
Because it's also it's not even so this is the one. So Mars is the one that is not even launched, the ExoMars.
Oh, it's Mars. Gotcha.
It's
Never mind. Okay.
2028.
Understood. But yeah, I felt it interesting though, because like I didn't feel like there's like, because I was doing the research, like it's ongoing now. Like there's nothing necessarily. You think about like life, extraterrestrial life. You feel like, like have we found anything yet? Are we still looking? But I guess everything's still in progress now, and just for just time wise and everything being like the Earth mission only was launched last year, so it hasn't been that long since it's been launched.
Honestly, even if we find something, it's super hard, because even if you
Yeah.
find something, you can never. I mean, whatever you send, it's made on Earth by humans in contaminated Earth, and
Right.
so if you detect anything, it's still like there's probability that it could be ours. So this is really, and this is what happened to me, because I used to launch. I launched from the Arctic with the in like a European Space Agency base that's there, on a balloon that took this big payload into the stratosphere, the Earth's stratosphere, to see if we will find something there, because in the stratosphere we have the same conditions as Mars. And we could have, if we found something there, it could be like, oh, something could be on Mars, or it could be, that it's because we also think, how did life? We still don't completely, fully, 100% know how life evolved on Earth. Could it have come, or these compounds have come from? Is it an asteroid? That hit us? Did it come from? It was an asteroid that broke off Mars. Maybe Mars seeded us with life, for example. This experiment, we did find something that was there, and it was like, at high radiation and low temperature, but still, and we did something that we sprayed fluorescent beads on the outside of our payload, even though we were trying to track contamination paths. And we did find them also on what we found. So you can never really prove. It's super hard, and we published it. But then it's gonna be like, yes, it could be something, but it could also be ours. So even if ExoMars finds something, even if it's just always going to be. But still, it could be ours. We brought it there, True. Unless we can see it. And it looks different, and it's like furry, and it talks to us or something. And says, "No, I live here. You didn't bring me." It's super hard. This is something that's disheartening. That was really disheartening for me as well. It's like, because whatever you find, it's just always going to be challenges. It's almost. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's like highly unlikely that it will be accepted by the unless you can bring it back. If you find that, maybe you can say you do a sample return mission, you bring it back, and you can fundamentally, like, here, analyze it here and say fundamentally, like, it's completely different. We've never seen this before. It's really not our, but I mean, still it could be we've never seen it before, but maybe it is still ours, but we hadn't. So there's it's a beautiful field, but it's a very frustrating.
I can imagine. It's like, just to prove it, it's going to be very. Because people will probably want to disprove it also, if any evidence was brought back to see what
either people disprove it, like it's really extreme. Either people are like really like immediately, and this is what I told you. I had a lot of people like, you found something, and like really. Or really all the science, but not only the science community like brands you, okay, you're an alien hunter, and this is aliens, it's weird stuff, like to discredit our stuff. So like, don't want to know anything about you. So it's like for the crazy scientists or something, and so it's really polarized. It's like, because nobody wants to say, not like, okay, respectable scientists don't want to say, because they can't say 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you don't want to discredit yourself as a scientist. So it's a bit of a.
Reese is asking, I guess that's for you, Dr. Clara, about if you like any sci-fi TV shows or movies, and do you find them ridiculous?
Yes. So, I mean, no. So I do like them. I do find them ridiculous.
Wait,
I like, so for example,
both.
Yes and yes. So for example, like, I love Stargate, right? Like 90s me, but I love Stargate because it was like, okay, it's a wormhole, and again, then you go through, and then it's sort of like it makes sense in its universe because of travel and everything. But normally, there's a lot of like physical thing, that we see when that is like, okay, you're really violating laws of physics here. One that is really good is The Expanse. If you've seen it, it's now on Amazon Prime. I started watching it, and it's really taken into account how things work in space. How would you move? And there's humans that grow up in the asteroid belt as well, and how because they have like don't have gravity and stuff, and like their vertebrae are like separating them more up, out, and that the Expanse has made a huge effort with the laws of physics, but others not so much, and it really winds me up. Yes, so
That's funny.
so either they have to be like really just like, no, it's the same as Earth, you go through a wormhole and you go on, or if they try to, and it's like, no, they want to work like this.
That is true. That's true. I think some of them, like from a viewpoint of storytelling, like you have to just gloss over that scientific principle that just wouldn't really work IRL, but like it's just for entertainment purposes. But still, but some shows, I guess, do a good job that you can actually see this as something would happen. If we got to that point, but you never know. There's some more comments. Let me just say that Cap said about the Voyager probe was launched and left the solar system by 1985. The last 40 plus years, it's still surviving, and the staff remains that were part of the history.
Voyager probe is like my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I think I find that like so beautiful, like so whimsical also, that we have sent a message of where humans come from, and I don't know, like, and saying hello world. It's essentially a hello world.
Yep, exactly.
Out into space, and yeah, that's I don't know if you can put the, but a bit, and I find it like so amazing that we could think also.
Yeah.
Can I post that, right?
You also, I don't know if you can. You can send it to me or Faye, and we can post it because it worked.
I don't know, but I've tried.
Oh, did it work?
Did it work?
Oh, you worked. Yeah, VIP. It worked. Never mind. All right.
I was either get blocked or I was trying.
Oh, you're a VIP, so you have rights. So the other thing, I think Alistair brought up another thing, and he just wanted to bring up the fact that his son was gifted a fragment of the asteroid from an Arctic expedition from early Soviet camp by chance, because he adopted the person, like his child or his kid. His son was from Russia, so he was a fragment of the asteroid that was given that. And I guess so. Interesting fact. And we've also said about one of his is about his Event Horizon was his favorite sci-fi movie, horror movie. So
yeah, because horror was, I haven't watched it. Even the Alien one was like, I'm still struggling with that one.
All right, so we're gonna kind of move gears. Faye, I kind of put you in second position. Do you have a question?
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I might be a weirdo for actually having an answer to this question, and it's perfectly okay if you tell me I'm just weird. Do you have a favorite experiment that you have like an emotional attachment to? Is it just me?
What do you mean by experiment?
Or program? Well, okay, so like I get high-key emotional talking about Oppie the rover. The Mars, I think it's the Mars rover.
Oh, the Mars rover? Okay.
Yes. I get so emotional talking about the thing. It sang itself happy birthday alone on Mars. And when it died, it's like it's getting dark and my batteries are running low. And I'm just like, no!
Yeah.
Poor Oppie! I have an emotional attachment to this experiment program thing going on. Before that, though, I always really loved the TARDIS experiments. There's a creature, they're called tardigans, also sometimes called water bears, but they're like official name.
Yes.
And they're damn near indestructible.
Yeah.
And I don't remember which space agency it was, but some space agency, I think it's one of the Europe ones, It wasn't the U.S.
Okay.
They just did an experiment where they were sending a bunch of these tardigans into space to like experiment like how they would react in extreme conditions, and they called it the TARDIS experiment, like from Doctor Who, because tardigans, TARDI, or TARD, and then in space was the IS. And I'm just like, I love how nerdy. I love how dorky scientists are. It makes my heart so happy. Do y'all have?
So, this is the tardigrades. It's a really interesting thing. I just put the Wikipedia link as well because they. So, and this is the other thing of why we could send life, because and it happened with like missions to the moon and stuff. I think it was like things. Was it like E. coli and also lichens and stuff that we have? They sort of go into. Well, bacteria normally they make spores, and then they protect itself, and it's like they go into hibernation, and then when they come back to a benign or not so hostile environment, then they respawn.
Yeah, they just like they hibernate, and then when the conditions are better, they're like, "Oh, I'm good."
Yeah, I'm back. And the tardigrades do this, and you say like the tardigrades. Well, it says they're not considered universally extremophilic because they're not adapted to exploit many of the extreme conditions that their environmental tolerance has been measured in, only to endure them. Okay, so they endure. And so this means that their chances of dying increase the longer they are exposed to the extreme environments. Whereas the true extremophiles thrive, right, in an extreme environment. So what they do is like they you see that they're capable of suspending their metabolism and going like cryptobiosis, like they hydrate themselves and hibernate. So it's sort of like, I'm not happy here, but I'll just like dehydrate and then like hibernate, and then oh, now it's nice, come back. And so it's also a bit cruel if you think. I mean, it's not like, oh, I'm happy here, this is nice. It was like, oh, I don't like this, but I can survive. You know? Wizard, you have
your Doctor Who.
10.
I'm basic 10.
I don't really have the answer to this, so I don't think I've followed it. Do you have anything to answer Faye's question about this? Dr. Clara, do you have anything that you were kind of obsessed about it sounds like it's a Voyager.
Like I said, it's totally okay if I'm just weird.
I was going to say for me it's Voyager, because also thinking of what do you say about humanity, like how do you introduce humanity, what do you so I find it super interesting, like just thinking I wouldn't even, if you had to send if you were the first one, like if you were the first one to talk to an intelligent life form, and they're like, where do you come from? Okay, and tell me a bit about it. What do you say? Like,
that's true.
Well, they say it's a blue planet. It's a blue. We have a big star. We have one star. And we are. We sort of stand, and we have like these limbs. Maybe you can see me because you're in front of me, Mr. It's weird how a lot of times I think weird habits that we have as humans, like when we are sunbathing. I think if aliens saw us, they'd be like, what are people doing? Well, are they like recharging, or are they getting like energy from the sun and like creating some sort of what are they? I always think like there's behaviors that we have that they can think, what? So
I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I see people sunbathing and I'm like, what? Like, why are you laying in the rain of the Cancer orb in the sky? Like, why? What? So I'm with the aliens on this one.
Well, AK Sedonis is like, first time meeting another intelligent life form, roll charisma to seduce. Yeah, like, I don't know. Do you want to seduce? I don't know.
Found the bard.
You don't know how they meet,
Yeah, that's true too. All right, so this is going to be kind of a shift because I only have like kind of 2 questions about like space. But now I was curious because like we're kind of going to shift to music and streaming, because Dr. Clara, your main streaming channel is basically your DJing for the majority of it. So like, kind of curious, like, how did you get started? How was if you remember your first setup, what you did to set up everything up to kind of like start this up? Because I feel like you've been doing this for a while, right? It's been since like pandemic started, kind of. You kind of like started that route, and I'm assuming your gear has improved over the time since you started. So, and like, how did you like figure out like, well, how did juggling got into this? Because I feel like juggling was such a left field. You're like, oh, we're doing juggling for everyone that comes in, and have that also as part of your stream. But then, how do you also handle? Because like Twitch is very, like DCMA. Like, how do you handle like music rights too? Because like DJing also is very interesting. I would think to how that. So we're gonna be a chat. We're gonna go from space now to back to for DJing and streaming.
For music.
So yeah, and music in general.
So my family is really musical, and we all like in my family play guitar, but I always I chose the piano when I was like 5 or 6 to be different. So, and I studied a lot of. I was in a music conservatory, and I had to study music theory. Maybe Monday was like music theory, and like Wednesday I had to play with the orchestra, and like Thursday and Tuesdays I had to play the piano, and also Fridays, and I had to help the little kids with like rhythm. So I was always like with music. And then one of my childhood friends, when we were 24, she died of cancer, and this was really hard because she was the one that I used to always play piano with. So we used to do concerts together. So when we used to do it, she used to play with me. And since then, I had like music has always been a part of my life. And my mom always used to say how, use the piano to express yourself, especially when you're a teenager and you can't express yourself and you have, all that. And it was like, it's like, I don't know, like some people, it's like painting or sports, right? And like music is like also the outlet. When my friend died, I had a year without music or something. Like honestly, I could not. I asked everyone, I don't want to hear the radio, I don't want any music on, I don't want any music on. So no like harmony, no. And it was, and still it's very hard for me, like play the piano. If I play the piano, I don't I have like a keyboard that has weighted keys, but I don't hear it, or it's still really hard, but it's my way of expressing. But slowly I've put music back in my life, right? And then during the pandemic, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and I was living in the Netherlands, my mom was in Spain, and then this is like really like heavy, like, and really like I am stuck here. And then I would go to Spain and manage like to be like as a carer, have the papers to go and like be with her. Like it was like 7 to 9 weeks for the first surgery, also for the next one. And that first Christmas, the pandemic Christmas that we had, that was when my mom started chemo. And so she's had her son like critical surgery, and then now she's starting chemo, and we really don't know what's gonna happen. And my husband bought me some decks. And it was like those first decks that I still use. And he was like, here, play. And I was like, what? Is that you always like, you like music, you understand music, you love plumbing, you love DJs and stuff, like do it yourself. And so I started learning. I started I joined like a DJ music school, they're super cool, like online and stuff. And then okay, you need feedback, you're a DJ, right? But we're in the pandemic. So how do I even play? I mean, okay, my husband would say, yeah, you're really good. And one thing of this DJ school, they said, hey, because in fact of the music rights, you cannot use YouTube, you cannot use what's it called, Facebook Live, no, Instagram Live or whatever.
Yeah.
Meta so much anyway. And but Twitch, so long as you are just streaming, no VODs. Okay. What do we call
VODs, yeah.
VODs?
Yeah, VODs, yeah.
Okay. So no VODs. And then, but if you want to, so I had the guidance there, and it's like, and if you want to record, so I record on my DJ software, the set I do, like the live set that
Yeah.
I record it, and then you can put that on Mixcloud, because Mixcloud does have the rights, the music rights for you. So obviously, so as a DJ, I buy the music to the mix it. I have physical, I also have physical copies, but I mean like there are digital copies. There are. I'm not just using you can't DJ with like Spotify or Apple Music. You have there are like streaming services now that you can DJ with, but still it's not. They can take that down. They can take away that track. So you buy it, you own it, and then it's yours, and you can DJ with it. But that doesn't mean I have the right to broadcast it, right? Like there has to be a license and so. But Mixcloud does have that license, so that's why I can record my sets in Mixcloud. And Twitch now has DJ new DJ category, but we cannot have now. Before I could do VODs that see if I could maybe get takedowns or not. Like it was like now they're completely disabled, and so are clips. So now if you do a clip of me, it's like old clips before this category was activated. Talking of old clips, you can see my old setup in some of those clips.
Yeah.
Like really old setup with like my more amateurish logo that I made myself, and like a very basic things. But I always, the one thing that I think it was when I became affiliate, I was actually in Madrid and I was taking care of my mom, and it was Rambo Savage, who sometimes comes in my stream, who came with like a whole array of people, and then like that I got to know our community and stuff. And then I thought, oh wow, now that I have a lot of people, I think it was then or maybe before, I don't know when I realized about the juggling, in fact, but I think it was, or maybe it was there that I realized, oh, if these people are, because then the money that I make from subs or from bits or whatever, it goes to the Centro Nacional de Investigaciones Oncológicas, so the oncology research department, institution, and I thought, how can I say thank you to people? And I thought, oh, maybe a cool thing that I can do. I juggle, and I've been juggling since my first engineering job. Since like engineers at lunchtime would go and juggle outside.
Really? No,
yeah, when I was like 21. And I would, we would all at lunchtime, we would all go outside and like juggle. They told me to juggle, and it's actually really calming and really meditative. I love juggling. And I thought people think it's cool, like, because for me, I think it's cool too. But there's also like this thing of like it relaxes me, and it's like a challenge. But people like seeing it. Okay, people like seeing this, but maybe it's not so exciting. You're just seeing someone just playing music, and so maybe the reward, if somebody follows or is supporting in any way, maybe I'll say, oh, I'll do a juggle for you. And then it's escalated with like Toast-Up knows, and because he will always ask, can you do something more difficult?
So how did the spinning, like now you have the spinning like
plates? Yeah,
plates on stage. I was just like, how did you, it went from like juggling now to spinning plates. I'm just like, what? Where it's like progressively getting harder and harder as you try to go. Oh my god.
Yeah. And because you try with things like, also like for the smoke machine, you try it. Maybe it started because there's rewards, the rewards that you think.
That makes a lot of sense.
Because it's like, okay, hydrate and stretch, but that's for me. But like, what about something like for you? Okay, I can put some glasses on, okay, like a smoke machine, but then the smoke machine fills everything with smoke, and then it's unplugged. And
the things that happen on Dr. Clara's stream with juggling, smoke machine stuff, to other things like. There's a lot of intricacies to it.
I believe my IQ has like tripled while streaming because of like making me, or maybe not my IQ, but my, I don't know, my capacity, my parallel processing.
Yeah. Because I'm like, oh, and you're trying to DJ music. So yeah, you're doing everything. It's very interesting to watch. So you haven't seen it definitely check it out if you don't know. Watch Dr. Clara's DJ streams for sure. But yeah, that's very interesting. So you have any comment about it, or because I feel like it's like interesting for music DJs in terms of how they get engagement and how they. Have you even seen a music DJ stream today? I don't know if you have. Probably.
No, I haven't caught any of them yet.
Maybe because they're normally just DJing themselves. It's just like it's great if you put them in the background. I like, for me, I like them. Like subs is cool DJ, and I like because I'm a DJ. I'm also find it interesting that I can appreciate that you can be like, okay, I'm just watching somebody, and you can have it lurking and stuff. It's fine, of course, because you just the music.
Yeah,
for a gamer, and I think this was the thing because the rate that I had on the people that came that made me affiliate, they were all gamers. And so I was a DJ with a gamer community, and it's a different. I feel it's really different because it's a gamer community and streamer community. You are talking all the time. You are engaging. You are doing funny things. You have to really. It's not so much. I don't think it's so much about the quality of your playing. I don't know. What do you think? Because for DJs, of course, if the quality of the playing is crap, you will go. But you could watch somebody who is playing not so well, but they're funny.
Games, so it's definitely not a quality of the gaming thing.
No, but the other day when you were playing the puzzle thing, and it was like, and you were a bit stuck, but it was still, and we were like thinking it as with the map and is it like this colors, and you kept going. I can't remember the game because I'm like terrible. But still, like you weren't figuring it out, but it was really interesting to listen to you as you're trying to figure it out. But you can't listen to a DJ who is not. I don't know. There's something. So then, I think gamers, streamers are much. Yeah, you are much more engaging. I
think DJing, it's definitely the quality of the music, but if you're a gamer streamer, it's much more your personality of what's going on, because there can be 100 people playing the game, but why are they picking you specifically? Whereas your personality as a DJ is coming out through the music you're making. Because how you remix a song is going to change from how another person would remix a song based on the way that you personally vibe.
And the way, and I see that also as like a consumer of DJs myself. When I go to see DJs, I want to see them engaging with the audience, and that's why I really love like Fatboy Slim. It was always like, he's always funny. He's doing things to engage people, like writing on vinyls or something. He's doing things to keep you engaged. Other DJs are just like that. DJ never look up, look at you, and just go. And a lot of people like those DJs, but I like more the ones who are. And one thing I realized, DJs always have. Because then you engage to the background, and because I juggle, I can't really have a green screen because you wouldn't
see the props.
A lot. You would see, it's more. It could be more hit and miss, unless it's a thing. If it's a prop, the spinning plates you would see because it stays. But if it's what's it? Depend, but it's more like you lose more. If I had a green screen, you lose a lot more of the juggling. So then I have to, but I think about it because I have green screens, and I think, I could have like cool backgrounds. But so I really struggle with that, because when I see other DJs, they have really, you're listening to the music and then you're seeing like a really cool background or something like this. That's their engagement. And I'm not, I get jealous of that. If I'm like, I want to have like these things, but then if I do that, then it messes up the juggling. So sometimes I think I'm very like visually not so cool, because it's like, where are you? You're like a DJ, but you don't have the visuals of the other DJs, so not as visually not as interesting. Which so that's why I think like when the DJ, but the juggling, I don't know.
Possibly, but it's like, you as a person are more interesting. Like they're like, and I'm not knocking it, but like if you're bringing the show, like you are the show, you don't need the background stuff.
But is it? Yes, it's true. But I think, but isn't it boring? Don't we think? Well, maybe, like both of you, aren't you like my paranoia is that are people bored? Even though but I have music, but then this time, but it's like, are you, because you need to figure out, are they enjoying the music? Are they more? Are they, or are they liking this? I don't know.
Yeah, it's very hard to gauge that from a Twitch audience too. But yeah, okay, sorry.
So like I've been streaming for like 4-ish years now, and I definitely understand where you're coming from because we're always our own worst critics. I genuinely consider myself to be a very boring person. Like I have this genuine feeling of like, why are you guys even here? Like, what is going on? Anytime there's a chatter, I'm like, I am confused. Like, glad to see you, but why? But there's obviously, like, if you've got people in your chat and they're having they're there because they're having a good time. It is so easy if you're not having a good time in a channel to find a different channel. And just because you wouldn't watch your stream doesn't mean other people aren't enjoying it. You're just not your own type.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the whole thing. Yeah, would I watch my own stream? That's an interesting thing. Yeah, that's great. But would you watch? Would you watch your own stream? Would like?
I don't know if I would watch my own stream.
Sure, watch.
Every time I see a clip of myself, I am cringing. There are so few times that I think that I was like funny or like, but I am my worst critic. I have cripplingly low self-esteem that I am working on every single day, and other people like me. People tell me that I'm funny. People tell me that they have a good time
hilarious.
on my channel.
I was gonna say.
So I'm trying to trust my community when they say that they enjoy being there, that there's something there that I'm just not seeing.
There you go. All right. So we're going to kind of bookend that. I want to kind of still move around because just for pacing reasons. So my question is going to be kind of like, you guys went the scientific route. I'm going to go the pop culture route. Favorite sci-fi movie that you can watch over and over again? That you won't get bored of? Because I know people watch movies one at a time, but yeah. Wait, what?
Contact, the one.
Oh, Contact, sorry.
I have it.
Contact, there you go. Contact Jodie Foster. Yeah, Iron Dome. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, Chris Allen.
I'm not even... I'm
trying
to think if I've ever seen a sci-fi movie.
Oh,
No Alien.
Okay, well, can we go
Does that count as sci-fi even? I don't...
Dude, is there a horror sci-fi in your genre thing? Have you watched anything like that at all?
Yeah.
Or are you just like, sci-fi is totally out of your realm?
That's the thing is, like she just said Alien. I'm like, I don't know if that even counts as a sci-fi, because I very much think of that as just a horror movie, not a sci-fi. So, like, if there's a horror or sci-fi movie that I have seen, I might not recognize that it's sci-fi, because my brain just doesn't connect those two genres, even though once you say aliens and I think of it, I'm like, no, like, it's very much set in space. It was, at the time it was coming out, their idea of a hard science sci-fi, and I do recognize that when I'm thinking about it. But just out of, like, to just pluck that out of the ether, if you hadn't fed it to me, I wouldn't have even considered it. So I don't know if I have a sci-fi movie.
Okay, well, can we...
Well, it's weird because think about it, because I think of Contact also. I think actually maybe it's not sci-fi because it's very realistic with like something that could happen, and then it's sci-fi and it's something. If it's like sci-fi, space making like sci-fi, like Star Wars, for example. That's sci-fi. Like I would watch Star Wars. All of them. Yeah, for example.
I would think sci-fi.
Because Star Wars also again doesn't annoy me because it's itself a universe that can that explains itself. If that makes sense. Like the realistic sci-fi
Don't do Star Wars.
human in space, gravity stuff is like, no. No, I'm not. I'm saying Star Wars. I would watch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's sci-fi? Like what's sci-fi? Like sci-fi.
Well, sci-fi
Or like-
fantasy. I mean, like, because like it is sci-fi per se, in terms of like, but it's
Now
very
we have
like, I don't think of like it's like a niche. Like it could exist in this universe here, technically, but like, would it exist for us? Probably not. Like, you could look at it as an alternate, like, world of like, I don't know.
Is Lord of the Rings sci-fi?
No, that's just fantasy.
It's fantasy.
That's
Yeah.
just fantasy. Because the
No.
fantasy versus okay, sci-fi. So sci-fi is more.
Like, I know sci-fi is a subgenre of fantasy.
Yeah.
Whereas we're on
It's very
like,
much
Star
that
Wars is-
square isn't a like squares aren't necessarily, or sorry, rectangles aren't necessarily squares, but squares are always rectangles. That's the whole sci-fi
Mhm.
fantasy thing, where every sci-fi is a fantasy to some extent, but not every fantasy is a sci-fi.
Yeah, it rather reminds me when we played science
Mm.
fiction Fae, where like my character stories were always sci-fi futuristic, and then your characters are always fantasy, but
Yes.
also kind of in that sci-fi realm, but
Mm.
more of a fantasy. So like it's like a subgenre of both, so for sure.
What about you, Ty? Tell us like a sci-fi. What's a sci-fi? Sci-fi. movie?
For maybe I feel like
Sci-fi
the first movie. I mean, I could probably watch and wouldn't really care watching it over again. It's probably the first time I saw Star Trek: The Generations movie. The Generations movie was like the first jump they did after like all the original Star Trek movies from Picard, you know, going to the big screen. But that was the first time they jumped over, and I feel like that was such a good segue because like I think by that point Star Trek was kind of like the series
Which one?
where
What is it?
Star Trek Generations, so like the next generation. Yes. So Star Trek had
What's
a
that?
had a reboot, kind of like they
Yeah.
started again after, you know, the original series way long ago, and I think it was like maybe late 80s. It was you know, like the next, like, so they picked up like many years after the original, and then when they got to the big screen, it was a Generations movie. So like it kind of started where Captain Kirk and his crew were there, and then like Captain Kirk got thrown into like a kind of like in like a expanse where like time didn't matter, so he was stuck there. And we go to back to Picard future, and like he had to go through this whole like mission to stop the wave. Like some villain was trying to get him back into that expanse where everything was like perfect and everything was like happy, and he got thrown in there and he had to like come back. So that's when like even Captain Kirk and Picard crossed over, because you know they're like many years apart, and it was the first movie where like two, you know, sci-fi shows technically kind of like interconnected, and it was a crossover. But Star Trek Generations, which is like Star Trek, so I'm always like the first one. Like First Contact was, yeah, definitely First Contact. After that I was like the Borg, so that was like definitely also a good. But I don't know, Star Trek to the big screen, where Star Trek was episodic, so like everything was like contained to like, you know, the 1 hour a week TV show. But then once they got to the Generations, they got to, you know, they were to expand the story or bring in more things. And you got, I feel like it's like more like if you watch a season of a show compared to watching a movie, the movie has to get everything done, all the plot points in to have it. And then of course First Contact was epic too because of the Borg. Yeah, that's where I was at, where like the movie I could kind of enjoy.
So
and
then
watch
thinking
everything.
like sci-fi is always going to have like something of like space travel. Like I was just thinking, what about is
Not
Back to the
necessarily.
Future? Is Back to the Future sci-fi?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sci-fi does not inherently require space, but if it has space travel of any sort, it is almost guaranteed to be a sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I don't have a movie because you were specifically asking for one that like you could like watch again and never get tired of. I don't have a movie, but I do have a game.
Okay. Go ahead. What's the game?
Soma.
What's the context
Soma
already?
is such a good sci-fi. Now it is a horror game as well, but it is such a good story. It starts off, you're a dude suffering from like really debilitating like migraines. You're going in to get like a brain scan done to try to figure out like what's going on. So you start off your day just trying to like the very first like 5 minutes is just you getting up and trying to get to your doctor's office. You go in for the scan, they put you in a machine to do the scan. You come out of the machine, office is in shambles. Things like the light fixtures falling apart. Everything's dark. No one's around. Everything looks like it's been abandoned for like 40 fucking years. And then you leave the office and you realize, oh, it's not your doctor's office that was in the city. You're like on some ship of some sort. And then you realize that you're actually on a ocean base, like at the bottom of the ocean. And you're trying to figure out what's going on, and there's these weird ass monsters like roaming around this obviously falling apart ocean base, and you're trying to get out. And it is awesome. Phenomenal. I don't want to say anything more than that.
Okay,
but it is so good. It really like at the end, I was just like, holy fuck. Like, it very much explores the whole, like, what is humanity kind of questions.
Makes sense.
It gets deep.
Yeah,
hey, you know, Faye, by the way, as like a parenthesis here, you're saying, like, you know, show what people watch you and stuff, but that passion that you just had, like, you know, for your games, for your genre, you have like this passion, your eyes light up, and look, Wes is like, oh my god, I'm gonna install something, and everyone's like, yeah, insane, this is great. You would watch your own stream, you know?
There you go.
Oh no, I'm so bad.
No, you're fine. It's good.
I'm glad that this is backing me up though, because Soma's so good!
Yeah. There you go.
What does it mean to be a man? Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're alone? Just to know, sorry, last question. In Soma, you're alone, or there's...
You do find, you have, communication chip. You have a communication chip that you find at some point, so there is, like, another character talking to you. So there is like conversation going back and forth, but again, I really don't want to say too much more because anything beyond this that I say is getting into real spoiler land. Right. But you're like physically alone the entire time.
That's right. All right.
Oh, okay. So
all right. So
you meet people.
As we say from Soma to that, we're going to go into the bit we call the Faye segment. So, Faye, what are your hyperfixations this month?
Hyperfixations. So recently I've been really into podcasts, but like specifically radio dramas.
What are radio dramas? You said earlier, but I don't know what is.
So most people, when you hear podcasts, you're thinking like this, where it's like a group of people having a conversation, very kind of like chill vibes, nothing's really scripted, right? So a radio drama, think like pre-TVs, when all you'd have is a radio and you would get your entertainment by people telling a story and doing the things through that. And so nowadays, those still exist, they're still being made, but they get released as podcasts. And so that's actually because of podcasts becoming a thing. You've got this, some of them are still very, very traditional radio drama where it's all scripted with voice actors and it very much comes off as a show. But then you also have some that are kind of a blend between the two formats where you'll get this like the person talking to the listener kind of vibe as if it was interactive anyway. Like there's one that I've been listening to, it's called We're Alive. And most of the people here, I'm sure, will be aware of the with SCPs. But for anybody who doesn't, there's this like online. I don't know what it's called, but it's like anybody can add to it, and anybody can use it. but you're not allowed to make money off of it kind of agreement type thing. So it stands SCP stands for like secure, contain, protect, and it's a fake organization that people have made up as like this writing like exercise where there are like different things that make weird things. If you've ever seen the show Warehouse 13, very similar type
SCP
idea.
games too, like where
every SCP game that uses SCP in it, the reason that they're always free is because they legally can't make money off of them. So this is kind of based in that SCP universe. So one of the facilities, they had an entity that they were containing within the facility, and that entity caused the facility to be removed from our reality and put into a pocket universe. And so the main character is the communications director, and everything that you're hearing is him recording what's going on as they're trying to get out of the pocket universe, and he keeps trying to get in touch with like the heads of the SCP organization to try to get help. And it's just all, and like when he's not trying to actively contact them, it's basically like a radio diary that he's keeping of what they're going through while they're in this pocket universe. And so it's kind of played off as you, the listener, are getting these recordings that is from what's happening over there. It's really, really good. So nothing, like, obviously it's a scripted thing, it's a show, but nothing in it is portrayed as being scripted.
What is
the
it called
dude's
again,
like,
sorry?
We're alive.
We're alive, okay.
But
And so like every week you get like a new diary extract or something of it, or
I think it's like a once a month thing, but they're between seasons right now. So we're on a little bit of a hiatus. Like between seasons of a show, usually you'll have a couple months. Faye, have we become best friends? Maybe.
Hey, have you watched Fringe, Faye? Fringe is on your list?
I haven't watched Fringe. I don't watch a lot of TV. If you ask me about TV as a movie, I don't really ever know anything. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't know. It's like you'll have the guy. He'll be at his office and he'll be like, "It has been 46 days since we were put in the pocket dimension," and he'll start like cataloging things, and then you'll just hear like knock knock knock, "Hey, we need you to come do this thing," and it's like all on the recording, so it doesn't feel like it's supposed to be scripted, but you're like,
that's cool.
Finding
it's like
out
an audiobook
these...
in a way.
Yeah,
like an audiobook, a bit like
nice.
a series. Yeah, like
yeah, I mean, like audiobooks want to be radio dramas, basically. The radio drama did come first.
Yeah.
Cool. And it was, what was it called?
So this one in particular is called We're Alive. I just finished it.
But is it horror?
I would
Before
not
I
call
write this down.
Okay, so it's going to technically be classified as horror. It is not. It's more of a like. It's more of a really tense drama. But because of the nature of what SCP is viewed as, it is classified as horror because a lot of the SCP universe is horror. So pretty much anything that uses that, you're way too quick to downplay horror.
Dang.
Okay, so when I guess I need to ask what you think of as horror. This does not like
anxiety level listening to it.
Medium for a normal person, not a me person, because Sudo's one of the people from my community, and so he thinks I'm talking on my levels, but like I'm talking like most people. I'm like, does it have tense moments? Yes, there's definitely like a cycle of like bad things happen because yes, an entity did put them into a pocket dimension and is causing things to go fucky. But most of the radio drama is really focusing on these people who previously were just co-workers, barely knew each other's names. Half the time, maybe didn't even know somebody worked there because they came in, they did their job, they went home. now having to come to terms with the fact that they're all trapped in this building together and have to work together. They're forming relationships and forming friendships and dealing with, you know, the stresses and the fears and the struggles of just suddenly being removed from everything they knew.
This is what we were talking earlier about, like sending humans to Mars. You see, this is what we have, and you put these humans and you put them, and then they are.
Yeah, so this would be a really good explanation of that, but it's like a group of like 100 people.
Yeah.
So, and it's them like dealing in, you know, there were different departments. So you had like the medical department and the botany department, and so there's a little bit of like, okay, people are kind of sticking with their cliques, but then they also need to work together. So there's like infighting, but then also like learning how to like rise above it when push comes to shove and we need to work together, and like really, really good. Highly recommend. The only complaint that I do have is it's very obvious that this is one of the first shows that they have ever done, so sometimes the audio mixing is not so good. There's definitely times where someone will be talking and it's really hard to hear. But even then, it kind of leans into the fact that, remember, all of the show is supposed to be being recorded by the one dude who's the communication director, and he calls himself a director, but he's the only person in that department. He doesn't have anyone under him. So it's like one dude, he has a little like basically closet office, and it's like he's recording his stuff, and it's like he'll catch things, and it's supposed to be someone like outside the door talking to him. And I wish they made it just a little bit more clear, but you can tell that they're trying to really show you like, hey, this person's not actually in the room. And they do get better at that as time goes on, but the beginning can be a little bit rough to hear sometimes.
Okay, we're alive. For those for the third time, make sure everyone catches it and writes it on.
Yeah,
like
I just finished that one recently, and if you want another one that's kind of on the sci-fi, there's one called Escaping Denver. I don't know if anybody lives in Denver, but the Denver airport, there's a lot of like conspiracy theories about that airport. It went billions over budget in several years, and no one really knows why. They just kept saying it was construction delays. So of course you get things like that. You get a lot of conspiracy theories. So this one, people were talking about like secret tunnels built under the Denver airport, which is apparently one of those, but there's a secret organization that's been experimenting on people, and it follows these two basically people who had been experimented on. They woke up in the tunnels and now they're trying to escape. Their names are Noah and Sarah. And it's again gonna be it does lean a little bit horror. I would say slightly more than We're Alive, because again, that's the genre that I prefer. But when you're talking about secret societies experimenting on humans, you kind of have to expect you're going to have that horrific element to it.
Hey, did you ever play Control? I don't know if you did.
I did play Control. I very much liked Control. It was a very good game.
Nice.
So yeah, Escaping Denver and We're Alive would both be the same level of horror that Control has. Where I do not consider that straight up horror, but it definitely has the elements there.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
That's what you're doing.
I'm not sure of my horror. Where is my horror scale mapped? Then I think maybe.
Well, give it a shot, Dr. Clara. There you go.
Well,
but it sounds interesting.
You don't have visuals, so that might soften
all
it.
In your head. All in your head.
I don't know how to verse.
All right. We're gonna kind of jump to the wrap up kind of part. I forgot the other part, but we'll leave it to like the end of the wrap up. But just think about what is making you happy this week. If something today has gotten many hot fixations you already went through, but if you have anything different to that, we'll do that. But all right. So in terms of streaming everything, do you have a schedule, Dr. Clara? Or are you kind of still winging it when you stream your DJ streams, or what times, or?
Yeah, I'm because now I'm trying to think, because I have neighbors. Which I didn't before, or I had neighbors. It seemed, I don't know, maybe the houses in Holland or the flat in Holland was like thicker walls. So I'm trying to find my way of what is, at least these neighbors seem to come and go more. But I'm worried about this one, especially when I juggle and I drop things. And even if I put, or maybe I have to get like like a bigger rug or something, and also the music. I'm managing it a bit because before I used to do like Friday nights, Saturday nights, but now this is an older gentleman, so
Okay.
I'm sort of thinking, oh, maybe like Sundays, like the around sister, but then that's also like siesta time. So I'm trying to find also his routine.
Okay. Makes sense.
Well, and also he's retired, right? Like, so he doesn't go to work. So, but normally I would, and I also want to think, okay, obviously I'm trying to transition jobs, I have to find like a new job and stuff, and like seeing what is sustainable. If I start doing, because that's one thing I wonder, like, how did you decide your days? Because you have to like, you do work, and then I'm gonna say I'm gonna do Saturdays, I'm gonna do Sundays, or do during the week. Like, I feel like I have to rethink this again. I had it figured out. It was Friday, Saturday night, and sometimes Sunday, like kind of evening and day. And now it's like, oh, I don't know. If you had to think again your streaming schedule, how would you think? There you go. Maybe you can help me think.
So I've changed my schedule several times since I started streaming. The way that I have found better, like, one thing is, like, if you do change your schedule, you have to do it knowing that you're going to lose viewers, because people who were available to watch you on Saturday night might not be available to watch you on Friday night, and that's something you just have to understand.
Yeah.
I only make one change at a time. So if it's like, okay, like I used to stream Tuesday and Wednesday and then Saturday. So I switched my Tuesday to Sunday morning. But I kept the Wednesday and the Saturday. Originally I streamed Friday instead of Saturday, and like when I made that switch, I did that, and then I kept it like that for a few months before I made any other changes to kind of give things a chance to stabilize, give people a chance to like rework any scheduling, because if people really want to see you and they like are a really big fan of yours, they will change their schedule to watch your stream, you know? Oh, well, like I usually go out with my girlfriend on Fridays, you know, like me, me and two of my girlfriends go out on Fridays, but now because you're streaming on Friday, I'm gonna have them switch to Saturday so I can be there Friday. But you have to give people the chance to do that. So if you make too many changes, then they feel, in my experience anyway, people feel like they're getting like kind of like left out.
Yeah.
So give them the chance to like, well, if they usually see you Wednesday and Saturday, change one so that they can at least still see this one while they're trying to figure out how to catch your new one over here.
There you go.
And how and those decisions though, why did you switch? It's because of like your like plans you have, or your energy levels seem to be more, or like how did you decide to change?
So for me personally, it was a lot of life changes. It was ending my engagement, moving cities again, getting a new job, and every single time one of these things happened, I would try to see if I could keep the old schedule, and if it was becoming untenable for whatever life reasons, I would start adjusting. But I was always honest with my community, and I'd be like, hey, like, because of these things, I'm struggling with this. So I'm gonna be changing things. And I would probably start saying that a few weeks ahead of time, being like, I'm going to be changing to this other day soon, so that people could start being ready to expect that. And then I would make the change. But they always, like, no one was ever blindsided. I didn't never like surprise my community with it. If I knew I wasn't gonna be online for a while, I would tell them, right? Like when I was moving, I'm like, hey, I'm moving. This will be my last stream. The earliest that I might be back is X date. And of course, like if something happens and that had to be extended, I'm updating through Discord or any other social medias that I communicated with people.
There you go.
What about you, Ty? What about you, Ty? Like, how did you decide, or how do you decide the days?
I don't know. I kind of stuck at 2 days where I felt like I had the time to. I did do 4 days a week, but then I cut down to 3 because I think 4 was just pushing a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, so I did like 3 days. These days, like this podcast is always extra on my schedule, so always makes a fuller week. But yeah, I And I also had a lot of people from UK, Spain, or overseas. So the later time frames were harder for them to come in. So then like a weekend like they does now early. I think also for people that are cross spawn because it's a earlier time zone for them too. So, but yeah, it's always a catch, and also based on your work schedule too. So like, doesn't when you can fit it in. And I don't know if I just plan it this way. I feel like I just planned my schedule around Faye now. It's Faye's here, so we're kind of trying not to overlap as much. So
yeah, that's the other thing, that you don't want to overlap with other, the streamer friends that are going on this.
Yeah. So
you see, because this is what you call him pseudo as the nickname. I like how pseudo, because I like how we always have like our Twitch names, but we have like our nicknames that we like the kind of style. I don't know. But pseudo, like, how do you guys balance stream life with real life other than work? Well, this is the thing, and there's a lot of energy. I don't know, but for me also, like, I'm standing, I'm DJing, I'm like juggling. Also the after, it's a mess. There's stuff everywhere. There's juggling modes everywhere. There's things everywhere. It's just like, and it's it takes a lot of energy. And like balancing that is it's sort of like, for me, it's been a bit of a roller coaster life, and so immediately I think, okay, I have to take that out because I can't cope. But at the same time, mental health is worse because I miss being on Twitch and being with the Twitch fam. It's like I don't know how you feel.
So for the balancing with IRL, to a pretty high extent, I do treat my stream schedule as like a job. So like when people ask when I'm available to hang out, I straight up say I cannot do Wednesday, period, because I work in the morning and I stream at night. And Saturday, I have to be home. And I usually put it about 2 hours before the time period that I'm actually wanting to go live, because that gives me 2 hours to freshen up, put on my makeup, make myself presentable for stream, make sure all my tech stuff is working as well as it can. I am admittedly much more flex with the Sunday stream because I have always presented that to the community as being like a cozy stream day. That's why it's in the morning. Half the time I'm still in my PJs. Like, so
that's nice.
If someone's inviting me to something and it's like Sunday's the only day I'd be able to do it because of my stream schedule and work schedule everywhere else, I'm less strict on not canceling Sunday streams. But everybody else, if you're wanting me to come somewhere and do something with you, you are working around my stream schedule.
Exactly.
Like, I don't present it as even an option. Wednesday is unavailable to you. Saturday night is unavailable to you. I'm doing my own thing, and that's streaming.
I struggle with that, I think, because I mean, do your IRL friends and family, like, I think my IRL friends and family, they're not so, and even like Twitch is not so big in Europe and stuff, so it's almost like, what? You're not going out with us for that because what? No, it's like do you feel you have like more, you're understood more by your
well, a lot of my friends, because again, 4 years now, a lot of my friends nowadays are streamers. Just like I mentioned earlier, I ended my previous relationship after I had started streaming and been streaming for a little while. And with that relationship dissolving, a lot of the mutual friends, you don't really, they aren't really around. There's that, there was that whole awkward, they met us as a couple, so they didn't want to pick sides, so they're not friends with either of us anymore. So a lot of the non-streaming friends, unfortunately, I don't have in my life anymore. But the few that I do have, like, some of them, oh, you like going to concerts on the weekend? Well, should I ask you to and I'll say this to their face because I have no chill with people trying to dictate to me my schedule. Oh, should I tell you to cancel that concert because I want to go get drinks or go get dinner? And once you start saying things back to them like that, they fall in line. And if someone's not going to respect my schedule and my hobbies and my interests, like, you're not my friend. Get out of my life.
It's true. It's a hobby. It's like if we were saying, okay, I'm gonna play tennis at that time. That's it, you know, or I'm going to hobby. I'm doing gardening at that time. Oh, they will tell you garden at another time. But yeah, like if you say it is a hobby,
and more than a hobby, like we make. I think all three of us, we make at least some money off of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it may not be a ton, but I do make money off of streaming. It is a source of income, and there have been points over the last 4 years that the money that I made from streaming was the only reason I got to eat that month.
Oh wow!
So, like, you are trying to tell me that you that you're out.
It's like I'm not going to work. No, don't go to work and don't get paid like to hang out with me. Like, okay, I'm sorry. I wish I could.
Yeah. Like my stream community has been so wonderful, and just between the subs and the bits and like just all the emotional support that they've given me over the years, they helped fund me being able to see my dad one last time before he passed away. They have helped fund my cat going to the vet when he's been sick in the past, making sure that I had food, and the schedule that is that's a verbal contract between me and my community, because they support me so much. I need to show up and be there when I said I was going to be there.
There you go.
I love my Twitch fam. They're so great.
In terms of like, we did go into like another topic, so I don't want to kind of still
Sorry.
You had to answer. Wait, you know, like.
Yeah, I know.
Your work life. Your stream. I was gonna say work life balance, but it's a stream life balance.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do the same approach as Faye. Kind of like it's a kind of a. It definitely is kind of like another kind of job. I feel obligated to, you know, show up and be able to, you know, be there when I say I'm going to be there. I mean, if life happens, you know, you can never control that. So, you know, you try your best to, you know, be consistent and be there. And I think for some people, I am there and they appreciate it, you know, and it always comes and goes with the ebb and flow of everything. Some days you're like, you stream and you kind of just like, you're not feeling it. So like, you know, you end early, but you know, it's like, it's like, you put your best foot out there and hopefully, I feel like, you know, I don't know. I mean, I got onto it because of COVID, kind of like, because, you know, that's felt like people needed kind of like a social outlet at that time. So, and I've stuck with it. So, I don't know. We'll see if I continue with it or not. And, you know, I do have creative outlets through this, like, you know, this podcast is one. And we do work with the Respawn Collective, which is kind of gaming, which I have a session with them. 15 minutes, so I have to get off soon. But
wrap it up.
Yeah, but yeah, like, no problem. It's fine. That's good topics to discuss. You know, like about streaming and central. So it's definitely it. But so Dr. Clara, still TBD. When we'll find you, well, you gotta figure your schedule out. Hopefully, get some good.
I might stream tonight. I'm already ready and ready.
Oh, you're ready? Oh, there you go. All right, so it's much earlier tonight. You'll be streaming. Today you're gonna be on tomorrow. Cozy Game.
I will be streaming in approximately 5 hours.
There you go. So 5 hours. More Silent Hill 2, right?
Wait, we can't clash. See, now we have.
I'll be back tomorrow for some more Tarkov stream early morning. And then real quick, so I don't want to like expand too much. Maybe like name something that you like watched or something like that made you happy this week. Kind of give a little gist about it, and don't go into a full-blown topic because we don't have enough time. Just like give something maybe that I'll do first. Like Last of Us Season 2 just came out, so I'm very excited to see how they're progressing that story on Max and how they're going to incorporate. And it's very mirroring the video game storyline so far. So I'm kind of interested to see where to go for a televised adaptation of a video game. So yeah, anything to make you happy? Anything you can comment on real quickly this week?
I'm so sorry. I think I cut out a little bit there and didn't quite hear the question.
Oh, like what's making you happy this week? Like something really quick you can talk about.
Making me happy this week. Probably my cat. He's been so affectionate.
There you go.
He's such a Velcro cat.
He's gonna say my dog. Yeah.
He's such a Velcro cat. He's also been driving me crazy because of it, but he has been just super, super affectionate and.
Now I understand why he's been biting my legs.
Yeah, no, because I've been at work and you've been home, so he's dealing with you.
Yeah.
Like my cat, he can hear when I park my car and I open the door and he's already like walking towards it. He's like, "You're home," and just follows me everywhere. And I just, he's not really doing anything too different from normal, but I don't know. This week it's just making me really, really happy.
I'm just the alternate human, so when Faye's not here, it's like,
oh yeah, you're the spare. You're absolutely the spare. Sorry.
She's not here. You will do.
Will do.
Fine. I'll hang out with you
He
instead.
does like Ty. Like my cat puts me to bed. Like he'll meow at me until I go to bed, and then once I'm dozing off, I'll hear him get up and leave, and he goes to check on Ty and make sure Ty's still good. But then he comes back to bed with me. So it's like he likes you, but you're not mom.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
All right.
I have to take care of it.
There you go. And Dr. Claire, anything for this week making you happy?
My dog as well. I've learned macrame. You know, like when you tie ropes and you make.
That's so cool.
Like random. I just like I need to do something with my hands, and I'm like
Nice.
Pinterest. Macrame.
All right.
That made me happy.
All right, so I think I'll end up there. All right, so the VOD will be on YouTube. Podcast audio will be posted by Monday. So you miss anything, we'll have our links out to everything. If you're in chat still and you haven't known that the podcast exists, definitely give a follow. We are on Spotify and also on Apple. But yeah, so I think we'll end it there. Let's see if this applause is any slower or shorter. It's a weirder, but I'm gonna find my original sounds. But yeah. So thanks for being here. Thanks for taking time to be part of your day. And we'll
I
see
loved
you
it. It was
in the
really
next stream.
fun.
All
I
right.
loved it.
Alright.
It was great. Super interesting.
All right, and then I will end up the call here. So thanks, guys, for being here. Enjoy your rest of your days. Catch your streams. We'll catch your streams later. So bye. Dr. Claire, bye, Faye. All right, tease.
Bye. Bye.
Alright. And voila, there we go. All right, so I'm gonna end here. Thanks, Kit. Thanks, Twitch. Thanks, you guys, for being here. Appreciate you. We do this once a month, so you guys are interested, ever come back. We have new guests every month. They will be here, and wherever the new guest is. So appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you guys in the next stream. So bye.